Namaskara and welcome to We, the City, a space where we explore everything that shapes our urban lives, from design and urbanism to art, books, and socio-cultural conversations and many more. This podcast is a neutral platform created to listen, learn, and engage with diverse voices and perspectives without endorsing or dismissing any point of view. Together, let's uncover the many layers that make our cities and communities what they are. These conversations are brought to you by EMARC Urban Design, BMS School of Architecture, Yelahanka, Bengaluru.
Hi everyone, welcome to the pilot episode of We the City. I'm Ranjan Cherian, Assistant Professor of BMS School of Architecture, Yelahanka, Bengaluru. Today is a very special day. We are recording the pilot episode, and also what a wonderful day to celebrate on the wake of the World Architecture Day. And on this occasion, we have with us Dr. Shaila Bantanur, Director of BMS School of Architecture, Yelahanka. We are very thrilled to have you here. Welcome, ma'am. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey in becoming the director of this institute.
Thank you, Ranjan. First of all, I want to congratulate the team for starting this session of podcast. Let me take my journey from 1993 onwards, when I completed my 12th standard, and that time the scenario was completely different, especially in terms of architecture education. That time we had only the 12th, and after that there was only one entrance examination which was conducted by KEA, no separate entrance examination for design discipline programs. So that was the first shock, I should say, before coming to the design discipline. The moment I entered into the architecture, all the subjects were very, very different, and which made me to learn there are so many different ways of understanding the cities and understanding the architecture in a very different perspective. So that was the first start of my journey in the field of architecture. The moment I completed my architecture, because of the family, I shifted to Maharashtra. And that time I realized it's not only about learning the architecture as a subject, but also it is the local language, not only the reading, but also the speaking is also important. So that is a one important thing. And also when I was practicing, I could understand we are not only should able to handle the at micro level architecture projects, but also at the city level also we need to address the issues. And also we come across a lot of different organizations like town planning, SIDCO, HUDCO. That time we understood there is even the master's program is very important. So I continued my education in the field of town planning. And then again accidentally came into the teaching, and that again gives me a lot of different perspective in architecture. Then went back to the research. Then coming back to in terms of research, I felt the research has to be with the team of the students. Then I started my journey with the heritage conservation in the city of Bengaluru, and where the traditional houses were studied. So this is actually my journey before starting a career as a director. But as a director, I thought this all experience is very, very important for the students. So that's the reason this is just an effort to make all my experience to the school. And I'm so happy that there are a lot of good initiatives which we have started as a design dialogue series and research dialogue series. And this is one of the very great initiative from you, and then from Ranjan and his team to start with the podcast. So with this, I want to again congratulate you for starting this new episode.
Thank you so much. So this is our first episode. So why do you feel a podcast like this is important for a society at large?
Yeah, here I remember my professor's word in IIT Roorkee, where he mentioned, he was giving me one nice example related how the students really deal with the aptitude related questions. So he gave me one very interesting example where when we start asking the questions related to the aptitude, the students doesn't even listen to the question properly. The moment you start asking the question, they start understanding, okay, this may be the answer. So that is how the quick reaction. So that made me a very important note, saying that student doesn't listen properly. So they have a very short span of listening capacity. And we felt, and that also remembers me that during our childhood we used to listen the radios. Lot of programs used to come, and then the concentration capacity and then also listening capacity used to be much better than what the present students. Now we see the present generation, always they are into the short videos, and lot of viewing capacity is more than the listening capacity. And if you I feel you should be the good listener. So that's the reason podcast is very, very important for the present generation. That solves a lot of the problems.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. So could you share an example of how conversations outside the classroom, maybe community engagements or collaborations, have influenced students' growth?
Okay, here the education has completely changed. What we were doing at earlier, maybe I am talking about in 1990s, but now the present education system has completely changed. It's not about only the learning, but also it is more of a problem solving. It's more of a application based. So that's the reason. What is very important is it is for all education institution that the student should be a good human being, and for that this community related engagements and the collaborations literally helps. And also there are a lot of organizations like NAC, NIRF, and a lot of these, even the UGC and AICT, they do insist nowadays for all educational institutions to go for a lot of community based engagements. So that is the reason we focus more on community related engagements. I want to give you here one very interesting example. Recently our school has collaborated with one of the NGO that is called as SEEN, where the purpose was to make the paper bags out of the paper waste for the event called as Kadlikal Parshe, which is a very known festival in Bangalore. And so this also gives an idea for the students how important it is to reduce the waste and reuse the paper. So I think for an education institution, community engagement is very important, and this also solves a lot of their personal problems. As an educational institution, we have seen a lot of students are facing many problems, especially the depression and stress related issues. And if we expose them to a lot of these different issue based communities, they will understand the problem is not only at a micro level, but these problems are even much bigger than what they are facing, and that helps the individual student to solve their individual problems as well as at a community level.
Yes, that's very true indeed. Even I recollect in my college days, we used to do a lot of community engagement programs. So now let's begin with the big picture. The World Architecture Day is observed globally, but what do you think it really signifies in today's context? Do we need a day dedicated for architecture?
Definitely, most of the time the people think that architecture is only related to the elite people, and it is not the case. In fact, I should say that it is a very, very elite profession, or it is a very important, not the elite profession, but it is a very, very important profession where the architect fulfills someone's dream. So this is a very, very novel profession, I should say, in terms of fulfilling somebody's dream, especially if you see in India, for making one home, every family spend entire life to make one home. So in that case, our role is very, very important. And if you see in today's world, there are a lot of issues in terms of rapid organization, environmental crisis, and a lot of social inequalities. And if you see, like, there are a lot of issues even in geopolitics. If you see, there are a lot of things are happening, and in that case, I think it is very important for an architecture students or an architects to deal with these issues in terms of crowd management. Especially, I want to give you a very example where the recent which happened in Ukraine war. What is going to happen for those kids, and what is going to have what kind of a community, and how we are what is our role in that. So these are very, very important things. So that's why I think celebrating this World Architecture Day also helps us to discuss with lot of scope of an architect to deal with these kind of issues. I would also like to give you some examples, like recently the urban floods, Wayanad floods. and also the very recent is Darjeeling landslide. So I guess by celebrating this, by understanding the issues, by understanding the capacity of an architect at this macro level will help us to solve these issues. So finally I must say the celebrating these will help.
I wanted to dwell a little more deeper into this. So, architecture is often seen as a backdrop to our lives, but in reality, it shapes how we live, interact, and even how we feel. That's what you've just mentioned all this while. Could you talk about this relationship between architecture and the society and how it extends beyond just the build form?
Yeah, the moment I said the architects, it is not only about the build space, it is for whom? It is for the people, right? So in that case, it is important to understand what is the society, what is the culture, what is the tradition, how does it is practiced at every level, in fact at micro level, even at a macro level. So that is why I think for each and every architecture student or an architect, it is very important to understand the society and then the societal other concerns. So that's the reason I think most of the architecture schools do focus on lot of these settlement studies. I want to mention here, even as a BMS School of Architecture at Yelahanka, we tried like every year our students do go for these kind of a settlement studies. Very recently they went to Gokarna, then Chettinad houses, and I want to mention one more example here at Shivarapatna, where they studied about craftsmen's village, where a lot of people they try to understand how the stone as a material is used to making the sculptures and all that. So it is very important how the man lives in the society to understand the different spaces in and around his living room.
Yes, I remember that very vividly. For all the listeners out there, please check out the video of Shivaranapatna on BMS School of Architecture Yelahanka YouTube page. Is there anything else that you would like to talk?
Yes, definitely. Many a times, I think scope of the architecture is always we think that we have to only design a buildings. It is not that. In fact, we do solve a lot of societal problems, and this is where I think our scope has to be expanded to a lot of in writing UPSC and KPSC or public related examination or PSCs we call it as. The reason behind is as an architecture student or as an architecture education, we deal with lot of societal issues, as I even mentioning about in my earlier in a very or a very just now, where we talk about human settlement, we talk about climate, we talk about society, we talk about heritage, we talk about conservation, we talk about even human being in and its allied activities. So I think this is the best professions to deal with at even the public level also, not at a very private sector but even public sector. I think it's very important for us to understand the scope of each of these organizations, and I definitely I say that architects are the better best person to deal with at this level. In fact, it's very unfortunate that lot of architecture students, they don't they don't understand the scope of this profession in these different level. So I suggest all the students to think of all these opportunities at even public sector, because it's as a citizen, it's like our own duty that we should also serve for the nation. It's not the blaming the society, blaming the system. Be a part of the system, and I think definitely you can solve the issue.
Yeah, I can't agree more. I think, yeah, even architecture does allow you to understand the society up close, and that's something that the subject really gives you. The urban studies is the core of this podcast. Why do you think it's especially relevant for today?
The moment we say as building or the space, it is not the only, because ultimately it is a part of the city. So it's always better to understand each and every issues at a macro level. And now the presently you see each and every cities, not only in India but even in abroad, lot of cities are facing the difficulties in terms of the overgrowth, or the, I can say, the urbanization, where we deal with lot of, maybe I can say, the in at a micro level, the even the migration also is towards the cities. So it's very important to understand the urban transport, the heritage conservation, climate change, and even the waste management. You see that the moment you say in a bigger cities, the first comes is the pollution, and then the lot of issues related to the waste management. So I think very important to understand not only at the micro level, or I can say here micro level means at the building level, but also it is very, very important for an architect, also as a citizen, to understand the issues at a very, very, very broader level, definitely at a metro level, I should say, because the complexities in metro level are way different from the micro level.
Yeah, on that note, I'd really like to know, how do you see the Indian cities evolving in the next decade or so?
It's actually such a difficult question. As I mentioned, every year the things are changing in a very drastic way. So I can say how many people have really actually thought about Ukraine war will happen. How many people had really thought about these disasters will happen? So then how are you going to say that after 10 years or the 20 years down the line the cities will become like that? I'm not talking about only the disasters in the cities, but also there are a lot of political changes which do happen, and also there are uncertainties, as I mentioned about the disaster. There are a lot of policy changes which do happen in the cities, and many times as a part of the system, we do understand there is a systematic way of understanding the issues at this present level, but anticipating the future problems is a very, very difficult for an individual, maybe at a planner, maybe at urban designer level. So I think somewhere this mismatch is happening, because when we talk about city development plan, the procedure starts with maybe 5 years before we execute, but end of the day, the land acquisition, there are a lot of issues which plays in, and this I'm talking about when we based on the present scenario, when we anticipate for 10 or 15 years without even understanding or without anticipating the disasters and all those things, but still it is becoming a very difficult in terms of execution, because suddenly there are new policies which will come into picture. How are you going to manage at a city level? So these are a very, very challenging thing to just to say that the Bangalore city will be there at tomorrow after 10 years it will be like this. I'll give you a very simple example. When we started the new airport in Yelahanka, nobody anticipated that the entire crowd is going to be here, and now maybe after 20 years or maybe 10 years another airport will come in the southern part of it or maybe the eastern part of it. Then the entire city calculation will go, and it's not about only the airport. I'm talking about only airport as a one individual project. It's a very big project for the city, but suddenly the things are moving towards that. It's not only the airport is moving, there are a lot of things which are again simultaneously. And best example I want to give is I think on the 8th of October, the Mumbai is going to have a new international airport in I think Navi Mumbai. Now think of the situation. Do you think that is being added in their development plan, that this is what is going to come and this is what it is? So this anticipation, I think, is going to be very difficult, and to saying the city that next decade the cities will be like this is what I feel. It's my personal opinion.
Yeah, it's actually a huge task. So let's talk about the students. So how is the institution should prepare students to tackle these kind of issues that you've just spoken about, both the global and local changes that are constantly happening across?
First, very important thing is just learning in the closed classroom doesn't help for students, because as I mentioned, architecture doesn't talk about only the space. It talks about lot of societal issues. It talks about lot of environment. lot of climate change related issues. So it's always better we coordinate or collaborate with lot of NGOs where they can work together to solve the societal. As I even mentioned about the scene as one of the NGO where they were talking about the paper bags. So as an institution, what we generally do is we try to list lot of different NGOs which are directly and or maybe little bit allied to our fields, which are working for the society, which are working for the community, and we try to see that where our students can go there, they can actually collaborate with them for the solving those issues. So this is how I think is very, very important. As I also mentioned about, they should be a good human being. So for this kind of a learning is very important. And we as a school also, we promote our students to become a volunteer for a lot of these organizations, because many times we think our problems are more, but engaging our students in the community in solving the real problems really helps. Very good example is like our students should think about what is going to happen Ukraine after the war, if after the war is completed. Now how are they going to solve the issues? So these are very important. I think this kind of a teaching learning method is important for the present kids, and they will enjoy. And the present kids are very I think very focused, and they know what they want to do. And in that case, if we are very clear about this is how it is going to help for the society, and definitely they will cooperate with the system, and then they will enjoy the teaching learning also.
That was such an intense conversation. I think from what I learned from today's session was first and foremost is to be a good human being. Architects have to be a good human being. I think the story starts from there. And once you start and you feel the people, and you as an individual, you want to get engaged with the society and try and understand their needs and issues, and up front and very close to them, and your sort of journey starts from there. City is very complex, which is what we've what we heard from you, and it takes a lot of effort to sort of try and understand all these various aspects and tie them all together. And there's a different skill set also that is required, which the institution can provide, but it's the passion that it comes from the individual person, right? I mean, that's something that I've learned from today from you. So thank you so much, Dr. Shaila Bantanur, Director of BMS School of Architecture, for being with us today, and thank you for your encouragement. The conversations with you have always been very engaging, and just like today, your inputs on how designers should be empowered and that they can help in shaping future was totally inspiring. We hope to bring more of these experts and have conversations that really matter. So happy World Architecture Day to you all.
Thank you so much, Ranjan, for your team, and great success for your podcast. I wish you all the best.
Thank you for listening to We the City, a space where every perspective shapes our urban story. This podcast is by the MArch Urban Design Program at BMS School of Architecture, Yelahanka, Bengaluru. Music is by Dhun, the music club of BMS School of Architecture. ಮುಂದಿನ ಬಾರಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ಭೇಟಿಯಾಗೋಣ. ಬರುವ ಭಾಗಗಳನ್ನು ಕಾದು ನೋಡಿರಿ. ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.